up till now in this series that we're doing, I've broken down, I'll just break it down properly again, just in case. We've looked at the moments we freeze, for instance, or the moments we hesitate, all those things. And then we expose that this is just a lie, that we're thinking that training will fix for us. And then we got to the truth that it is self-trust that we get to do. And then we uncovered the parts that is making this happen and why it keeps repeating. So those are the ones that we've done in previous videos. So you can go back and catch up if you haven't done so already. So now the real question is, what do we actually do now in those moments? Since we now know it's a lie, since we now know that it is, we get to trust ourselves and we get to shift this pattern. So how do we do this? Because the one thing to understand here is that it's not the thing in the middle of the assignment, like feeling the hesitation, like when you feel that hesitation rising, and still know how to respond, right? So in today's video, we'll be not talking theory, we'll be talking about what to do right there in that real time when that moment happens. Because it's not about needing more confidence. We need a way to interrupt that pattern that we've now started noticing while it is happening. That's what we get to do. So the whole premise is, we don't, like, once that moment has happened and all this, we don't fix it after the job's done. And then on the way home, we're beating ourselves, oh, I should have said this there, I should have done this would have been a better way to, like, deal with that. Like, the aftermath, like, it's over now. It's like, when we're in it, what do we get to do in those moments? Like, to fix it inside the moment than fixing it, like, okay, the next time I'm in that situation. No, what do we do right there and then? We catch ourselves shrinking, we catch ourselves second guessing ourselves. We feel like we're imposter, that who am I to do this and what's going on here? What do we get to do in those things? And because if we're waiting until afterwards to think about what would happen or how we dealt with it, we'll just be beating on ourselves, like, oh man, like, all this shame and guilt and judgment and all these things, will just be ranting on self after the fact. And then what's that going to do? It just tells our brain that, okay, we don't feel safe in those kind of environments. We don't feel safe in those kind of settings, those like that booking, never again. Or like, next time you're there, you're like on urge, you're like scanning for whatever issues that might rise, because we're now dealing with it in the aftermath. So it's not always a good idea reflection has its place on how, okay, what do we get to do next time? Oh, brilliant. It has. But when we can course correct in the moment and refocus and redirect the attention and what we get to do, that feels more powerful, more aligned, and more like backing ourselves that we can in those moments as well deal with whatever that is showing up, and not giving meaning to things that not necessarily how things are. Because in that moment, that's when things are either won or lost, and how we like play it out would affect either the interaction or the aftermath. So to get to sort it out while we're in those mid assignments, those real-time moments, I would say that's a better time to deal with it than thinking about it afterwards. You can always reflect and all those things. So yeah, we get to do that. So I'm going to give you something that is very simple that we can do to start helping us in those moments. Because the whole idea is, start noticing those situations. What happens when you freeze? What's going on? Did someone say something? Was it a fast speaker? Was it another colleague that you're comparing yourself to? Like, notice those things that is causing the feeling or the action to happen. And then, now we now know what it is. Each time, like, for me as a sign language interpreter, like, there used to be seasons where as soon as they haven't even spelt anything, they raise their hands to want to finger spell a word, I hold my breath and I stop breathing. Like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna mess up. I'm not gonna get it. I mean, my dyslexic brain is not gonna, like, I'm already there. So that for me is like my noticing is like, okay, this is what happens for me when I'm in that situation. I freeze. That was my thing. So I noticed that for self. So what's that for you? Is it a case of like someone says something or someone has a curious look and then it throws you off like, oh no, am I not making sense? Like, name it. Notice what that is. And then the next step is what I jumped into is to name what that thing is. So what's that thing for you? Is it now you're shrinking, you're doubting, you feel like an imposter, or it is like, what's that? Give it a name of that sensation. Are you hesitating? You notice what that thing, what does that thing make you do that makes you hesitate? And then when you then have now noticed the thing and you now know and given it a name as to what's showing up. Are you procrastinating in this thing? Are you hesitating? Are you feeling like an imposter? Are you doubting? Do you feel like you can't succeed? Whatever that is, name it. Is it causing you stress? Do you feel like you're self-loathing? Like, my goodness, I just don't like what I... Well, name it. And then once we've now noticed it, we've given it a name, we've done all those things, we get to shift it. And shifting it is where what would we rather do in that place instead of the feeling that is causing us to do? Okay, how do we now flip this so that we get the desired outcome we want? And this is stuff that we would do in, like, if we get to work together or in like one of like my programs and stuff, is to know how do we get to shift that thing so that in that moment, because remember, all this thing is internal stuff that is going on. It's got nothing to do with what you're saying verbally, or if you're sign language interpreter, what you're signing. It's the conversation that is happening in your head. How do you deal with it in that moment? So this is what we get to do. We notice it, we name it, and then we shift it. And then when we shift it, we move accordingly, realign, we get present, we ground ourselves, we move on. We don't give it meaning, like we don't like spiral, we don't do that, because we've now shifted the perspective, and now the focus we're going on, that's all shifted now. Because if we don't catch it, you become whatever that thing you've named. Because if you leave it as that, I just keep on holding the breath. And then you mess up and be like, oh no, this is what I'm saying, and then you can't get it, and they're like, oh please, can somebody else, can you give me another interpreter that knows what they're doing? It becomes something else. You become that thing you're thinking about in that moment, in that real time. And when we flip it and switch it and get the desired outcome we want, then we can then move, and then we then carry on. Because when we feel like there's a tension happening where our focus is split, we start panicking because someone's a fast speaker, or someone, you missed a word, they said something, you didn't hear it properly, and then you misinterpreted, like whatever that is. We notice what's going on. We name what's the situation, what's coming up for us, what's the feeling, what's the thing that's happening, and then by shifting it, get back in and move on. And then we'll do the thing. We're now getting into the next step of what it is we're doing. So instead of like, oh my goodness, I'm spiraling right now, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I can't get this, I don't understand what's going on, like whatever that is for you. That awareness, by noticing, creates the awareness. And then when we now notice and name it, we would then stop the autopilot that tends to happen, how we then feel afterwards, or the tension in the body, or the gripping. Like sometimes in those days I would go home after a job and you would think a what do I call those big lorries like had knocked me off, and it's like the heaviness of the tension, I come in like a zombie, right? We don't go into that spiral in that sense. We catch it and then we shift it. And that's the key. The key there is the shift. We don't allow the feeling to now overpower us and then take us there. You know? And this is the thing. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's about noticing. We get to slow down to speed up. Right? We might feel like, okay, noticing is taking, but like, look, it could take you like, exaggerating here, say the whole process like a minute or whatever, and the next time you do it like 50 seconds, 40, 30 seconds, 10 split second. It's like a eyebrow raise. That's what happens. So it's not about perfection. It's about doing the reps, doing the thing that will then support us to change the direction of what's going on in those moments, so that we can truly be aligned in what we're doing. You know, because me having that happen, I freeze every time. I caught it. I'm like, oh no, I feel like I'm not good enough if I can't understand finger spelling and like reassure myself. So that by shifting the focus and shifting how I saw it, and they're still like, oh, okay, let's see. And then that allowed me to find ways and techniques that helps me to now get the finger spelling and the panic and whatever that rises for us. You know, it's about figuring out and then figure out what works. Because the action stabilizes you faster than you think. When we start doing the thing, that process, before you know it, it's like this. You're in motion and it's just becomes second nature than feeling that like, that one's on me. Like, oh. Is it breathing? What's the shift? Like changing the focus, saying something to self, like what do we get to, like whatever that is, we're doing certain things to get us realigned, to support us, to move us, to do the things that we know would align and get us to that next step. So it's like the shift could be, okay, breathe, Nene, take a deep breath, refocus. Now that's not what that means. They might just be wanting to, like, they might be confused about the topic, whatever that is. Say it, whatever. Maybe it needs. I just need to ask for clarification. Oh, sorry, what was that thing you said? You back yourself, get a shift, and then we stay in flow and keep going. We keep on keeping on, because you don't break the pattern just after one job. You break it inside the moment. As we keep doing it, as we keep flowing, as we keep doing the stuff, that's when this now gets easier. And honestly, when this was happening, there were moments that I just wanted to just bail inside. You know, it's like, okay. But you know what? I chose to stay. And then I moved. Once I caught myself, I made that shift. So when we take the time to figure out, okay, what's that for me, and start working that and start doing that, then for me, having that tension feeling and thinking I've just been run over becomes like, yeah, I'm gliding and sliding and seeing whatever. And doesn't mean now those things don't come, because now that I feel like I've got, no. When they do come now, it's like, yeah, okay, next. What are we doing? And that's where I want us to just get to, because this doesn't mean everything is just going to be rosy all the time. Because how do we deal with it when those bumps and speeds and whatever come crashing? Like, we do in a calm, collected, convicted way that we have chosen for self. Because this is not about being perfect. It's about becoming someone who stays, who trusts self, who backs one, who understands that everything they need is within them and within their reach, the greatness that's in them, and aligning and accepting that. So now, knowing this is one thing, but applying it consistently is another different level, right? And so the next part, the final part, is where I'm going to show you how to just make this become natural, so that it's just like you're not like fighting yourself every time this is a thing. It's you're just, because this is exactly what I do to help interpreters to get to that point, to get to that level of like, yeah, I'm your interpreter today. What do I get to do? What do you know what I mean? I am Nene. We do this every single day. Remember, your voice matters and it's your time to use it. Bye for now and see you tomorrow.